Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
Welcome, welcome. Please make sure that you, as you're joining, that you are muting your microphone. And we will get started in just a few moments. And once I see our numbers kind of slow down, looks like they might be already. I'm going to a couple more coming in. All right, I think we're holding pretty steady where we are right now. So we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our Connect SIF data entry webinar. This is going to look really similar if you attended summer training to what we talked about during our summer training session. And now we're at a phase where since the summer, we have a little bit more that you might be able to play with. There are some things that are coming up that we will be talking about that we want you to be aware of as you're going in and logging into the Connect system and making sure that you're kind of prepared, that we'll have some further communication about some of the things that you're seeing. But we wanted to get this out today as we have made significant progress since our summer trainings to get the data system ready to roll. So with that being said, let's jump right in here. As a reminder for everyone, the Synergy platform will be replaced with Connect. So we'll be completely getting rid of the Synergy system for the state level. So we'll be replacing that with our Connect data integration platform. With this change comes the upload to Connect or SIF agent. So going into Synergy, you could update student records in the UI and get any updates made there. Here with Connect, you'll have to go back to a source system, whether that's a file or in hopefully anybody who's in today's webinar, your case would be using SIF. So going back to your student information system. Today, we're really just focused on the SIF portion of things. If you are here and you want to know more about the upload process specifically for enrollment, we will have another webinar on Thursday at noon that you are welcome to register for and attend then too, if you're kind of just testing the waters. So we will be replacing with Connect. You will have an input of upload or SIF using a SIF agent. And once we move over to Connect, the hourly ETL will also change. That will be running for operational data going into real-time data checks. And then collection data will be all refined in the student information or in the Connect system and then submitted up to NEO through intervention from an SAU. So you would be submitting that up to us. So this is an implementation that we are looking to do in the summer. So today, what we are talking about is testing, doing our initial training, recording some things that we had way back in the summer to kind of do some refresher and get everybody prepared for when we do our full implementation in July. That's the plan to July 25, 20, or 26, 27. So with that being said, all of your data that needs to be reported for the 25-26 school year still needs to be going through Synergy. So we are doing this training for the purpose of familiarity, building familiarity with Connect, and ensuring that you have an opportunity to get in there and explore prior to our full implementation for the next school year. So make sure that along with the work that you're doing in Connect, in the testing and work that you're doing to explore, that you're still updating Synergy records and you're still checking NEO for those Synergy records to be up to date and those reports to be ready to be submitted. We don't have any currently. We will be looking at those as we get closer to April. Okay. So the input methods for Connect, looking at SIF, SFTP, if you're a Synergy district that uses Synergy locally. You contract with Synergy. It is not the state's version of Synergy. We have another webinar for you next week. So if you are if you work in Synergy locally, not just the state version, that webinar on Tuesday will be more catered toward you. Whereas today we are really just focusing on SIF. So if you are a district that uses Web to School, Power School, Redico, or Infinite Campus, those are the ones that we're working with and focusing on today. So just want to let you know about that. Most of our SAUs are configured, but if you are not configured to SIF, I just have a very brief instructions here for how to get yourself configured. We sent out secrets and keys to SAUs. We sent them out in September, and if you need those credentials again, please reach out to medms.support@maine.gov, and we can get you those secrets and keys. Once you have those, they're unique to your district, so make sure that you're taking them back, and then you would work either with your student information system vendor or using the instructions that your vendor has put out to get that data in or get that information into your student information system. So there are some steps that you will need to do, taking that secret and that key, putting it into your information system, and making sure that you are set up and able to transfer data over. I know that all of our vendors have put out information and communicated in their own different ways the information that you need to be able to do that work. If you have questions about where to put that in your student information system, please reach out to your vendor. And we will have breakout rooms at the end of today's session or at the end of today's webinar where you'll be able to meet with your vendor to ask some of those questions. When you are configuring your SIF agent, there are multiple objects. So previously, when we were looking at data that was going into Synergy, Synergy had groups of data in uploads. That is going to be kind of a change in how we talk about groups of data moving over to SIF objects. SIF objects are personal data, enrollment data, and discipline data. Those are the three objects that we have. There's also two that are not moving necessarily anything, but that do need to be turned on, and they are school and SAU. So you have 5 objects that need to be turned on in order for your SIF agent to work. Enrollment will encompass enrollment data, economic status, multilingual learner, special education, and truancy data. So if you have anyone who's going into Synergy currently and only inputting special education data, let's say, that person will need to be aware that you have SIF that you are utilizing for enrollment and that data will be transferring with SIF. So you'll want to make sure that those folks are aware of this slight change in process. The enrollment upload or the enrollment, there's just a slight note down here at the bottom. Concurrent enrollments, you are required to have the enrollment turned on. That is the only one that you would need to have along with your SAU in your school. So that's kind of unique to your concurrent enrollments, special purpose, private, regional program, NCTE. So let's get into talking about how you get access to the system. Our access request form is on our MEDM support site under data systems, data system access request form. Your superintendent can submit a access request form on your behalf, and we will receive that and we will be able to provide you with login information. In order for you to have that account, you do need to have an active staff assignment in that school district in NEO. And that's how we will make sure that we are only providing access to those who are supposed to have it. So please make sure that you are working with your superintendent to get that access set up if you need it, and ensuring that your staff data specialist has entered you into NEO staff. Once we provide you with access, you will get an email that has Cedar Labs, welcome to Cedar Labs Connect. A little bit of an intro to what you're clicking on. When you get this email, it's coming from noreply@cedarlabs.com. You will be able to click on this set password button, which will take you to level data. And then you will be able to set your password. Don't make the same mistake I did, where I thought that I was supposed to enter my email address into the first part. That's not what it's asking for. That is for your password. So you're going to set your password in the first line and then confirm the password in the second part. Once you do those steps, you will have this green set password button that will come up, and it will take you to the login screen. Your username is your email address, so you'll have to put in that email address for your school email that was submitted in that student information, in that access request form, and then you'll use the new password that you just set to log in. And when you log in, this is what you will see. So this is a calendar of all of the collections that are open. You can see when this screenshot was taken, we were in the April collection. This is a little bit wonky this year, just because we have some different levels of collections that we're doing for testing and things like that. So it may not look exactly like this anymore. That's okay, but it will tell you what we're working on currently. Over on the left-hand side, there are two modules that you would be working in. The first one is real-time data checks, and the second one is in the collections section. These are the big ones that you're going to want to pay attention to. Today, we're focusing on the real-time data checks and just getting data into Connect. We will have a webinar about the October collection coming up, and that one will be focused on the collections. So there's just a different level of what the work is that you'll be doing in the system. So here's how Connect kind of works, just kind of overall visually looking at what is happening. In local student information system, you would enter the data that you are expecting into those state reportable fields. SIF will pick up that information and pull it into real-time data checks. Real-time data checks is kind of your first level of basic data checks, making sure that the data look accurate, validations, being able to go back into your student information system and make changes in the source to the data that needs to be reported up. On the other side of this, once the data are kind of clean, this is kind of the nice part about Connect, that you have this opportunity to see any validation errors that need to be corrected. Then you can pull it into a collection where you'll take a picture of it at a point in time, and then you'll be able to create a collection. That, again, is something that we're not working on today, but something that we will be working on when we talk about the October collection and doing some testing around that collection. So for the purposes today, real-time data checks, this testing period will not continue after basic data checks and validations. It will not be going into NEO, so please don't worry about that. You won't see this going through. It's not hooked up yet, so no worries there. All the data going into NEO is coming from Synergy for the 25-26 data collection, that is. SIF is an SAU level deal. So if your student information system is configured, your data will move from all of your schools that are in that SAU using that student information system in one big push over to Connect. So all of that data will come over together. So this is not like, oh, my elementary administrative assistant needs to go in, do something to move the data. My middle school needs to do the same thing, and then my high school does the same thing. It all moves together. It all moves at one level. Okay. So once it's turned on, all the data will move over, and then anytime there's a change to the data, there will be another event that occurs that will push the data over to Connect to make an update to what you're seeing in real-time data checks. So let's talk about what that part looks like. So Connect is going to run those basic checks on the data, kind of like the way the Synergy has done it, but it's going to let the data in, and then it's going to tell you where to go and fix things. So real-time data on the left of your screen, under it's showing in orange here because we're clicked on it, but you would select that on the left. And it will bring you to a screen here that says real-time data checks up in the top left. And you'll have a table. This table is going to tell you how many errors by any amount of or type that you have for your SAU. What you can do from here is you can drill into these errors, you can take a look at them, you can go back in, and what you'll do is make changes in your student information system. So how do we know what we need to fix? Well, here we can see back on this screen, we have an error on the resident town geocode. So let's focus on that one first. We're going to start with that one error because we want to click off something super easy. Down here underneath, I have it filtered so that I can see the specific error that we're looking at. So this student, Mystery Moose, has an error that needs to be corrected. I can click on this here and it will take me to a screen that looks like this on the right where I can see that that error was there. So from there, any change that has to be made to that student record on the right in Connect needs to go back to the student information system. So we can see here that the code for far, far away is reading as 00000. That is inaccurate for this student. Maybe it's an out of disk replacement. I'm not sure. So this student needs to be updated. I need to check on that scenario first, and then I need to figure out what's going on. So this student should actually be residing in make-believe. So I'm going to update that in my student information system. I'm going to let SIF do its update. SIF runs on different timeframes depending on the student information system that you are using. I would recommend asking, if you're not sure, asking your vendor what that timeframe is for your specific student information system. And then once SIF has done its thing, the error should be corrected as long as the data that was entered into the student information system is accurate. So everything is going to start in the student information system. All of the updates to the data will come from there. So taking a look at the screen. So once you get into real-time data checks, you may have more errors than what were on the previous screen. Depending on what you're looking at, you might have many, many more. You might have only a few. It really will depend. But from this screen, you can really drill into what an error actually is. So let's take start status, for example. Hovering over start status will allow me to see exactly how many errors there are for start status. I have 41 errors in start status. And if I click on that bar will allow me to open up a dropdown so I can drill into what are those errors specifically. From there, I can drill into filter detail record below, which will bring up those specific errors down below. I'm going to pause here for a quick second because I know Mike has something that he wants to share on this tab. And before I go to the next one, I want to make sure that he gets that opportunity to share. Mike, I see you're typing. Do you want me to give you a little bit more time?
No, that's fine. This is actually relevant to Amy's question.
Perfect.
So, Amy, when you're seeing, the errors you're seeing, that's exactly what Ali is showing how to look through, because they're all different to each district what you're going through. When you first load in your data to connect, whether it's upload, SIF, however it arrives, it basically is running just a base level. It's actually called a basic validation check. That's what you'll see if you look there. One of the filter columns is called group, and the ones Ali has on screen, those all say basic. And then what you also have the ability to do is hit that green Run Validations button up in the upper left, which I know you guys were going to see and want to push, and that is definitely good to do. What that's doing is now that the data has just been initially loaded, Connect has additional logic where it's going to be going through and actually like comparing enrollments across the state, and it can start seeing other things that are more complicated than just, was the state ID number 9 or 10 digits? Was the birth date in the right format? There's more complicated things that it runs. And when you click that button, it will then run all of those rules against the data. It'll generate potentially more errors, maybe not though. And then those will then display in the grid as well. And then the group will say level 2. instead of basic. So just something to know. And so when you guys get your data in there, then you can see what's loaded and then hit the run validations to run the other pieces. And that'll be relevant as well when we start looking at collections, but just know that you can do it here as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike. I see some questions in the chat that there's a lot of errors that are coming up for some people. We do have some known issues that I will get to in just a moment so that we can just kind of get those out there. But first, I just want to finish running through this. So from here, if you click on this filter detail below that by this record, let me read carefully here. It will take you to a screen where you'll actually only see that error counted in this table. And then you can sort your errors down below and you can see these are all the same type of error. So one of the nice things about this function is that, so we saw the student screen where we could update one student at a time. If that student has multiple errors, you can open up that student in your student information system, make all the updates that you need to make there for that one student, and then they'll go through together on your next SIF transfer. Or you can go in and you can sort by the specific error type, and you could either do a mass update in your student information system if that's a function you have available to you, or you can just go in and just know that you're going to be updating each of those students. So you can kind of sort through and do your own thing to make sure that you're updating the data and using it in a way that works most efficiently for you. So that was the other way. This is the specific student. For this student, we can see there are many records for this one. This is probably one that I would want to go to my student information system, open up whomever this student was, if I could identify them. It looks like we can't on this instance, but we would be able to then just go on to that student's enrollment record and make all the changes that we need to make. Okay. So, oh, and hovering over them will also tell you what the error is. So if you hover over one of these red bars and click on it, it will bring you a start status cannot be null. So the student would need a start status. So it's just telling you more detail. So again, any information that is being brought into Connect that would need to be updated or that is not in Connect that needs to be added must originate from your student information system. And then that data will go up to NEO, depending if it's operational from real time would go on the hour, or if it's collection data once you've submitted it. Again, NEO is not yet hooked up, so everything originates from the student information system, goes into Connect so that you can play around. It's not going anywhere. 2025-26 data is going into Synergy to be reported for any reports that are upcoming. So the data that you're working with in Connect should not be harming anything that you are doing for actual reporting. In fact, it might even help you clean it up so that if you're getting real-time data checks, you can go back and you can make some cleaning up in your student information system now so that when you pull your extract from your student information system before April, it might be cleaned up. That'd be a fun way to test it out and play with it. So, known issues. We are going into this testing phase with some known issues that came out of our rollover that occurred last week. So we did some updates, made some changes, and through that process, we had a couple things come out on top. When you log into your student information into Connect and you're looking at real-time data checks, you will likely see a distribution that looks similar to what you're seeing here on the screen. This is the state level data that we have in the system so far. As you can see, there are almost 100,000 records that have a birth date error and a similar amount that have a start status error, or state student ID error, my bad. Those errors are creating a bit of a challenge for us in being able to go in and see actual errors that you would be able to correct in your student information currently. We are working with our vendor level data and with student information system vendors on the specifics of those errors and being able to go in and get them updated. So we're meeting with you today to give you the information of what will be happening and what we'll be asking you to kind of go in and play around with while we don't have a reporting period open, knowing that we have these issues, but because we wanted to get this information out to you and we are ready, as soon as these errors are corrected, we should be able to get in there and we should be able to hit the ground running. So we will be communicating with you when these errors are corrected. We'll provide the recording from today's session, today's webinar, and we will be able to say, okay, here's your resources, here's the log, here's the update that occurred, here's what you should be able to do now. So be on the lookout for any of those updates. They should be coming soon. We do not have a date right now, but it's looking like we're going to have an update fairly soon from our SIS vendors and our level data vendor. So I saw in the chat there were lots of questions about, oh, I have a lot of errors. Yes, Allie had that moment when she logged in and saw the statewide data and has been advocating here and along with my team with MEDM support and all of our project team to get them corrected. So no need to panic. We're going to be okay. So just know that right now we know what's happening and we will be continuing to make those updates. Mike, any questions in the chat that we need to address right now?
Yeah, I've been answering them as we went. A lot of them were about some of the big common errors people see as soon as they get in there. So yeah, just know if you're seeing that mass birth date one, that one's definitely on our radar. We're working with the vendors to get that stuff updated. And that there is the other one with where if where basically with the SIF connection, there's a message ID that happens. And so for some folks, when their SIF data is coming through, it'll send them in big chunks. But then after a little while, like 500 records, it starts sending the same message ID. So when it hits the system, we think it's the stuff we already got, and it doesn't load anything new because we already got that message and loaded it. So that's another known issue. So if you're, and what that means is when you're sending through your student personal records, let's say the first 500 go through, and then you start sending enrollments, they're not necessarily all in the same order as you've seen, from your upload file. So it's going to be a kind of a hodgepodge of which students have both, which ones have one or the other. So you're going to see errors related to that, where a student is, missing their enrollment or missing their personal. That is also on our radar. That's going to be chalked up to get fixed. That one's going to make it look pretty messy for right now because that's going to cascade a lot of different errors from those. So right now, like if you go in today, it's there's going to be a lot left to be desired, but as we're getting these things posted and fixed, it'll start getting those big ones will start getting cleaned up, and then the data will be more reflective of what actual errors there might be going on. So we're just hoping that you guys can help us work out the kinks with the SIF profiles and things, make sure that everything gets mapped. You guys get some familiarity with the system before we just go live with it, next year. So it's really just kind of a sandbox to play in and learn. And we're hoping to get everybody's help to look through it.
There's some questions in here about where to get links and things like that have been mentioned in today's webinar. All of the resources that we have referred to are on the MEDM support site. They are on the main page of the MEDM support site. So the access request is about halfway down that page on request access. And the links for the systems are also listed there. Connect is on that list, if I'm not mistaken, right, Mike? It is there.
Yeah, sure we posted the link in there as well.
Yeah. If people lose access to the chat when we close out today's webinar, I just want to make sure everyone knows where to find those resources. And they are on the MEDM's support site.
Yeah, I can.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to address kind of Amy's other question there. So about reporting what errors you guys see. So the thing is, everybody's going to have lots of errors, right? Because it's there's just the system is still being worked out and everything is getting kind of laid down. So especially with SIF, where certain pieces may not be transferring exactly from the vendor perspective yet, maybe something's not quite finished being mapped, or There's some issue with the SIF agent not sending something through. So we'll do some sort of like troubleshooting webinar at some point, because just kind of emailing Metum support with every different error you have is not it's not going to be terribly helpful, because they're going to be just kind of the same things. So I would encourage you to kind of click on the error and see what it says. And then what you can do is if you like double click and highlight your student ID, just when you're looking at the record, you'll get a little search box that will pop up. If you click on search student ID, it's going to bring you to a screen, and then you can kind of investigate the record there and see what's coming through and just kind of take a peek. But we will obviously work through it with you. But if anything, if you wanted to maybe put together a single email with some of the really weird ones that you have questions on, and then send that one email through, and then we can, someone will get with you and work through it a little bit to get you up to speed. But yeah, submitting, one ticket for every error. I don't know what our capacity is with our footprint system, but I figure we're going to find out if we go that way. So we'll try to keep them as sparse as we can.
There was a question in the chat about where to find templates and sample files. That will be a Thursday webinar thing, Marcia. I noticed that you asked that question. So we, on Thursday's webinar, will be focused on enrollment still. So if you are using SIF, you do not necessarily need to come to that Thursday webinar, because it will be focused on SIF only, or on uploads only for enrollment. SIF is today. We're just kind of breaking everyone out so that it's the most bang for your buck, basically, and the best use of your time in those webinars. So we've broken it out by input mechanism, and so we will be talking to you each for those other purposes.
And then just to clarify once more for Mike Nelson there. So as far as CTEs go, essentially we are replacing Synergy with this new Connect system. So there's no conflicts with attendance or anything like that. We still only collect attendance at the primary enrollment. CTs do not give us attendance. We don't collect it. So nothing is changing. The file formats are still the same. It's just for the CT program data and the credit-bearing data, like you do in Synergy, those are submitted in their own files. It's going to be the same way in Connect. So we can get the students' enrollment at the CTE school through SIF. That's totally fine. Just the CTE program and the credit-bearing data, that's going to be in a flat file upload, the same exact way you do it now, except going into Synergy and clicking say reporting, file upload. You're going to go Connect, go into the collection, October, April, whatever it is, file upload. So it's going to be the same exact thing.
We're not at the point where we're ready to accept CTE credit bearing data or anything like that. So if you are a CTE school that is doing SIF, please configure so that you can get your enrollment data in and start looking at just that layer of it. We will, once we have the flat file information and we are ready to start accepting that data into Connect, we'll have many more webinars. This is not an end-all be-all.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of a long series of webinars that we are going to do that are going to break things out for our special purpose private schools, CTEs. We're going to have summer training. We're going to do all of the things so that we can get everybody in together and get you all ready for this system and this change. So that is the plan.
Yeah, think of this as more of an open beta, perhaps, than a, official go live training type of environment. Yeah. Just want to get you guys some experience with it, so we can start ironing out all these issues. That way we're not doing this, in September 1st or something. That's kind of the goal.
Yeah, that's the plan. All right, I am going to, because we are at 12:34, I'm going to keep us moving forward so we have enough time for our breakout rooms. Our breakout rooms are going to be hosted by our vendors. We have Rediker, Colleen Dunce has joined us, Power School, Shanita Barclift, and Infinite Campus, we have Alex Hawkins and Aaron Carlson. And for Web to School, we have Ramesh. So I will start those now. And if anything comes up, because I'm not seeing, I might have a couple that are not here yet that I've been watching to see if they're here, but they might be under a different name. So I'm going to start our breakout rooms, and we will have a person from Medham's support joining you. If there are any issues, my Medham support folks, please let me know, and we will try to get that mitigated. If you have questions, once you're done with your breakout session, we're done for today's webinar. So if you have questions after today's webinar, please reach out to medhams.support@maine.gov, and your vendors will also be providing some contact information to be able to get in touch with them, or give us a call, 207-624-6896, all of those things. So please feel free to do all of that. And with that, I am going to start our breakout rooms.